Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Get a Fucking Life Babe podcast. I am your host, Lydia Killian, and today we have a very special guest, and I'm so excited about having her on the show because we voice note all day long at the moment, and it just seemed so logical for us to do a podcast together. And it's amazing because our content is so aligned. She shares so many similar views to me, so I know you guys are going to love her. Her name is Courtney Stephenson, and she's a mindset mentor. Courtney, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, first of all, for having me. I just love you. And I'm so glad that we got this conversation out of the chat. It makes me so happy. I'm Courtney, like you said, and I am a mindset mentor, manifestation coach. I talk a lot online about self concept and nervous system regulation and manifestation and pretty much all the same things that you talk about, which is why we align so much. And I mostly work with women on self-concept things, and I love what I do, and I've been doing it for about 3.5 years now, and I've worked with people all over the world, and I'm just so grateful to be connected to so many people and to have met so many amazing women, and that includes you, and just so grateful to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so grateful to have you. I just feel like we were like crossing paths on TikTok a lot, and I used to see your content and my content, and it's so funny because we've both transitioned into almost like the same content areas as well as we've gone along, and I just love it. I love having somebody else that I can talk self-concept with, and having like my Southern Belle self-concept queen. I just love it.
I remember seeing you though on TikTok when you were the 444 agency.
444 agency when I was hiding from the world, and I was like, I'm just gonna pretend it's not me and like do
No,
a
I get
branding.
it. I get it because that was me for a long time too. And a lot of people still know me as I was Courtney in Savannah because I am Courtney in Savannah. But then one day I just decided, and I worked through a lot of things with my own self concept around being seen and the fear of being seen and showing up and being perceived by large amounts of people. And it was like an awakening of sorts in its own, where there were levels to that where I had to work through being able to be perceived and be seen and show up and not care about criticism or not care about worrying about if I was saying the wrong thing or showing up the wrong way. And just it truly helped me step into authenticity in a way that I never experienced before, which I know is such a thing for creators and having to learn how to be seen and get comfortable with that and really own your truth and own yourself and being okay with the people who don't resonate, which I'm sure you can really identify with too, because I love how you are out there now just as Lydia, and that's really inspiring.
I had that realization in April. It was my birthday month, so I feel like birthday month for me. And I think as well because it's April and it's like the natural new year of spring's in session. And I was like, we need to stop hiding. And I last year I was embarrassed of having so many followers. It was the strangest epiphany. It
Really?
It's just so strange. Like I'd really shy away from telling people. I'd only mention it if they asked. Even to this day, I'm still like that. Even last week, I had so many people from my hometown follow me, and I went in my shell a little bit because I
I
was
totally get it.
like it's so crazy because on TikTok I have 105,000 followers. On Instagram I have almost 5,000. Like, why am I bothered? Why would 20 people that know me bother me? But I was like, oh my God, I've gone shy. It was like my friend always said, well, because she worked in art sales, and she was like, well, you wouldn't come to work and watch me work. You wouldn't watch
Yeah.
me selling paintings. So it's like somebody coming to work, somebody that you know coming to work and watching you work. And I was like, that's so true. And so I had to go over my own fear of being perceived last year. Um, I was really embarrassed about, and I can't, maybe not embarrassed is the right thing, maybe threatened that people, I can't explain it. I don't know, not like physical threat, but like there's a coach called Whitney Euland, and she's amazing. And her course is called Celebrity Energy, and I took that course in December. And I thought my accountant is going to think, what the fuck is she buying?
That is hilarious. I know her and I love her too. And I've used one
She's
of her hit.
amazing.
Yes, and the celebrity energy thing is such a thing, and it's so true. And I had one of her hypnotherapy tapes,
Yes, I've done
and
that as well.
yes, and she's spot on with all the stuff that she says because it is an energy thing, and it's a safety thing. It's a nervous system
The
thing, like we talk
safety,
about.
nervous system. Yeah.
And I totally get where you're coming from with the people that you know. It took me a long time to even tell my husband that I had a side business that was an online thing because uh, not to make it about human design, that funnily enough we were talking about human design earlier,
Yeah.
and I was like, I don't know that much about it, but I know that I'm a manifesting generator, and I have started and quit a bunch of stuff in the past that didn't really follow through with it because I found that I was doing stuff just to get away from something else instead of following what truly felt good and aligned. Well, me having a TikTok and talking about the concepts that we teach was the first thing I'd ever found in my life that I felt lit up by and that I loved and that I wanted to do. And it actually turned into something. And so my thing was like, I don't want to tell anyone that I'm doing this until it turns into something. And when I told him, he was like, well, I would always support you no matter what.
Oh,
And I'm like, well, I
that's the
know,
thing.
but
People from my hometown are so supportive.
right.
My best
Yeah.
friends that have started following me this week, and I'm just like, what
Yeah.
did we expect them to say?
It's such a thing though, because
Crazy.
that's why it took me so long to go on Instagram with my business stuff because I had
Same.
so many friends and
Yeah,
family on my Instagram that I did have a fear of them being like, what, for the longest time, and my family too. And all the stuff I've gone through with releasing that fear of being seen really helped me just not give a fuck anymore
yeah,
and like just be like, even if they don't get it, they're gonna support me no matter what. And that was a story that I had to undo from like the past or whatever. And I just started saying, everyone's unconditionally supportive of me, even if they don't get it, even if it's like not their thing. And they do, and they reflect it back to me. And so but for the longest time, I only was just on TikTok and I didn't have anyone that I knew in real life on my TikTok. And then
same.
I slowly started moving towards Instagram and being like, well, whatever, I'm just going to show up. But that took a while and it took a lot of undoing and unlearning of like past programs and fear. But do you know the content creator thing online where people say, as a content creator and a business owner from creating content, your content is not for your friends and family. And
No, it's
I have
not.
found that to
I don't
be
get offended if my friends and family don't like it. It's not for them. And that's why
exactly.
I didn't share it with them because so I actually started coaching in 2016 and I would go on this is how old it was. I'd go on Facebook Live every day for 30 minutes. And that was pushed out to my friends and family. And I did get backlash back then because it not from my friends and family, but they were always really supportive. But manifestation wasn't cool back then. It was still weird. Like it was only I feel like it was only lockdown people turned towards manifestation because they needed it. But back then I was still the weird kid. I got trolled. Um, I remember this was before I had my teeth done, and somebody commented saying, "Who the fuck would buy from her? Look at the state of her teeth." Yeah, but I never gave a fuck back then. I didn't care at all back then. I don't know if it was just young 20s,
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna grow my business. You're not paying my bills. So this time round, it's a completely alien experience because I remember last year thinking I didn't have it 10 years ago, so why have I got it now? But I think it's because during the pandemic, me having to go on universal credit and government benefits, and then Taylor passing away, and me partying the pain away, I had
Yeah.
just drummed myself concept into such the gutter of who I thought I was and like what I deserved. It was almost like growing this business, I didn't deserve that. So I had to really do a lot of that around that.
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
Um,
And for me, I had the birth of my child, my second daughter, and it was postpartum stuff that really dug that hole for me that I had to crawl out of. And it's weird how the things that happen to you in life kind of change your perspective as you learn and you grow. And just full disclosure, like for me, like to be vulnerable about it, every level up, and I don't want to like make this a thing because it doesn't have to be a thing. It's just been my experience to this point and may not always be the case, but a lot of times me going through a period of contrast, or a dark cloud over my head, or feeling really disempowered, or having all of these negative things happen to me, were some of the things that really catalyzed me to empower myself and to really like wake up to who I am, and what we're doing here and all of that stuff. And if someone would have told me even 3 or 4 years ago that I would be where I am now and doing what I do now and have the outlook that I have, and the confidence that I have in a lot of ways, I would have laughed in their face, because
Same.
I did not. I used to be so shy. I would have anxiety around ordering food off a menu at a restaurant. Like, never in a million years did I think I would be having an online presence. Do you
That's
know what I
amazing.
mean? It's
Because you're
crazy.
so confident now. And I say this to my clients as well. I was naturally confident as a kid, but teenager and I maybe appeared confident, but inside, internally screaming, insecure, and taking action from that space as well, and having that anxious attachment and all those kind of things that I won't go into. Um, but this confidence has been built brick by brick. I always say that when I talk to people in the self-concept club, I'm like, I didn't just get on here one day and like be bubbly. Like this time 3 years ago, I was so depressed and I was so in the gutter, and I was in the pub every weekend partying the pain away, and I couldn't be by myself because I was grieving. And now I've just spent the whole weekend just in the house on my own, inner peace, chilling, confident. Like, that comes because of the work we've put in. It's not because of we just like did it one day, or it's how we've naturally been. Like you said with your postpartum journey, you've had to pull yourself out of that. And that's
Yeah.
so amazing that you managed to do that. And thank you for sharing that with us because it is vulnerable.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And same for you, like going through that grieving with the loss of someone you love. I mean, that I haven't experienced that. And so I cannot speak to that, but I cannot imagine what that is like, and what it must take to pull yourself out of something like that, and to really change your perspective on things, because we all have our own experience and we all have our own journey. But I do think it's interesting how whatever this school is on planet Earth, what we're all doing, it's intriguing and also weird that a lot of the hardest things we go through end up becoming are some of our largest, like, alchemy and
Yeah.
transmutation and
Gonna say
power.
that word to you. I had it like, when you just log something in your brain to bring up, it's alchemy. It's alchemizing the negative situation. And we were even speaking about that today on voice notes, like where you can look at the 3D circumstances and they can be really shit. Like I almost when people I don't get annoyed, but I have a very short patience for, oh my God, like this is my circumstance. I'm like, bitch, please. Like, fuck off.
No, I get it. I get
But he
it.
hasn't said like, shut up. Like
Yeah.
I think because we have alchemized such like bad circumstances, I think it's so important for our clients, our followers, like to know that when you learn how to do that, and it takes all your energy, it takes all the parts of you that telling you it's not going to be okay to just get on with it and say it's going to be okay, and delusional and batshit crazy and all those things. But it is alchemy, and that's where you become such a powerful manifester. And I think that's where really your self-concept is built.
I completely agree. I mean, I've heard so many people say, and me, it's my own experience too, pulling yourself out of freaking rock bottom,
Yeah.
right? Like,
By the
because
bootstraps.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it is so catalyzing and it is so motivating. And I think that it's all purposeful, even though I would never say, absolutely never blame yourself for anything, any negative situation. But at the same time, in my experience, being in a place where there's nothing else for me to do, there's nowhere else for me to go other than to look at myself and to do something different, was very motivating for me, especially when I initially started working on self-concept. Was a time, it was the lowest point of my entire life.
Same.
And I remember being like, all right, I've got to do something different because what I've been doing is not working. And I just was so motivated and I dug my heels in, and I'll never forget, I said to myself, I am never going to repeat this again. I'm never going to feel like this again. And it's this adamant boldness of conviction that you come to through that really painful experience of suffering, which is really powerful and empowering if you think about it. But that's how I felt at that time was, no, I'm doing something different. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care what I have to do. As long as I know what to do, then I'm going to do it, and I'm going to follow through for myself for the first time ever in my life, probably. And I'm never going to stop, because I'm never going to feel like this again. And I'm never going to suffer like this again. And I'm sure you could say the same, like maybe your experience was similar, and I never looked back since. And it's that boldness, I think. We were talking about this in the chat earlier. When you make a decision, a lot of times those situations are what really, really give you the clarity to make a full blown decision on something, because it gets so uncomfortable that there's nothing else for you to do but to be like, I'm never going to have this experience again. I'm going to have a different experience now for the rest of my life. And I've done that in so many different areas of my life. Just this week, in a certain area of my life, where I decided I'm never experiencing this again. And
Yeah.
now I'm going to experience something different. And I've done that with love. I've done that with money. I've done that with self concept in general and the way I see myself. And you just get so sick of your own bullshit, right?
You
Where you're just
do.
like, nope,
And
never
you
again.
know that you're the one repeating the pattern as well. Like I
Yeah.
remember the last time I had to lend money off my dad, and I was like, and actually that turned out to be the thing that shifted my concept of being seen last year. So I remember the last time I had to borrow money off my dad, I remember thinking, Lydia, like you're not being the fuck up anymore. And he would never think that, and my mum would never think that ever. And I was just like, we're not doing this again. We're not doing this again. And from that decision, I think it was £600, and I paid him back within 2 days because I needed this money for about a month. And then all of a sudden, from making that decision, the sales just went, oh, I think I didn't even have to ask him, but I did because that's what catapulted that thing. And so last year, when it came to like the fear of being seen and like how I'm perceived, I was like, I make my mum and dad so proud with this success now, not because I'm successful, but they don't have to worry about me anymore. Like
Yep.
that's a gift. My success is a gift I'm giving them because they don't have to worry about me anymore like they probably used to. And so that's how I kind of alchemized that last year. I was like, okay, let me shift my perspective on it. But that was the biggest thing that shifted my money mindset. So I was like, no, we're not doing this anymore.
Yep. All right, let me ask you this, because, that's what recently happened to me, where I made a decision about money, because I had in the past repeated kind of like cycles back and forth. I realized finally, and I didn't even know it was happening to me until, kind of looking back, these feast and famine cycles where I would go a little while and be okay, and then the fear would come back up, and then I would repeat the cycle, and reality would reflect the fear and the worry and the whatever. But I realized it wasn't what was happening to me, it was my perception. Because like I would have money in the bank and I would be doing really well, and but just out of nowhere that old stuff would hit me, and it was just my perception. It wasn't the actual reality, but because I was perceiving it that way, of course, like a month later, a couple months later, reality is reflecting it. And my bank account is back down to, like, one time I'll never forget, it went down to like $11. And I was like, what the hell? And back then, that was years ago, I did like the whole robotic affirming thing. I'm extremely wealthy, or I'm extremely rich, or something like that. And I did that shit for 90 days straight. And it was so exhausting. And it worked, because like the month after that, I made my first $10,000 month. And then I made
Wow.
a $12,000 month. And then, but it, because I didn't change my identity around it, I
Yeah.
didn't decide to become a different person around money and the way I navigate it and the way I feel about it and the way I perceive it. Of course, it went back down again. I wasn't able to sustain it
Yeah.
long term. And so that was me, like, for the past, forever, I guess, because of the way that I grew up and seeing my parents, navigate money. And my grandparents lived through the Depression, and they had a
Wow.
very scarcity, lack mindset, very fearful. Like, these are people who never threw anything away, they never wasted anything. They would overeat because they didn't waste food. They had like food in their freezer from like 20 years ago and crazy stuff like that. No, like not exaggerating. And so that's kind of what I grew up seeing. And I realized just recently actually that because I saw that pattern repeating again, where, you know, the fear just came up out of nowhere and I let it get me, and then the reality reflected it again. And so I realized, wait a minute, who have I been being? I refuse to be this person ever again. And as soon as I made that decision and that shift, money started flooding in again, and I was like, wow, like it really is just that decision that I am never going to be this person again, and I am
Yeah,
never going to repeat this ever again, because that is no longer my truth, that is
yeah,
no longer my identity, and it changes everything, and it changes it fast. So I'm
yeah,
so glad that, you know, to hear that your experience has been similar to where you just made that decision, I'm never going to be this person again, and you haven't been. So that's very validating and confirming to me as well, because this is new for me to have just literally just made the decision, I'm never going back to that. That's never going to be my experience again. And I am adamant and firmly believing in the fact that it is not. And
no, I
so
believe it.
yeah.
Yeah, with me, I had a lot of feast and famine going on. And what I've come to learn from myself is that feast and famine it's the same as your anxious attachment with love. It's just that lack of security and the lack of trust in money is going to be there. Lack of trust in yourself to make the money as well. And it's just complete lack of trust. That feast and famine thing is like we said, you gear it up with the robotic affirmance that comes in, and then and it's just, if we replace that with this is why I think nervous system and feeling it real anything, because the more you, and Neville Goddard talks about this, and feeling the naturalness of your desire, and that's when it's going to manifest. When something feels natural to you, it will stay. So we can force the universe to manifest something in, but if it doesn't feel natural to us and we haven't changed the identity around us, it's not going to stay. And so this is like with my clients when they want to manifest love or money or whatever, I'm like, no, we need to work on the identity first. And there's a Biggest Loser documentary on Netflix at the moment, and I spoke about it last week on one of my TikToks, because some of them lost like £300 on the show, but then they put it straight back on. And like lottery winners, they'll win £1 million and then they'll waste it all and they'll blow it. And some of them even commit suicide, or like it ruins their families and it tears their lives apart. Or you watch a lot of people who got famous really quickly and then it
Yeah.
goes again, and then they spend their whole life chasing that fame. It's because they hadn't solidified that identity around it. And like I feel like the more you do the nervous system around feeling safe, because I feel like so many people don't understand, they don't have their manifestation because their brain doesn't feel safe around it.
Yep.
If your brain,
That's so true.
and we both know, we both talk about this, the subconscious mind is designed to keep you safe. It's not designed to make you happy. So it's going to do a lot to move you away from fear. So if you think having this money is going to cause a lot of problems, you're not going near it. So I can imagine if you got brought up with, grandparents that have been in the depression, and, money is the root of all evil, or there's never enough money, or money is just such a bad subject in your subconscious mind, it's going to stay away from it until we rewire it.
Exactly. And I love that you said it equates to the anxious attachment.
Yeah,
That
100%.
is so true. And I experienced that with the relationships in the past too, where I really, really healed that within myself when it comes to partners and other people. And if you can heal it for one, you can heal it for the other. You
Yeah,
can heal it
that's
for
what I thought.
anything. And it's all the same thing, right? And I realized that several months ago that my whole life I did have an anxious attachment relationship with money. And when I started viewing money as a person or like something I'm in a relationship with, and I
Yes.
right, and I equated like, wait a minute, because and I've said this to you and I've said it to other people so many times, you could not pay me at this point to be triggered in my relationship, because I am so solidified in the security and the safety of being with another person and have a complete secure attached relationship now, and safe and secure attached identity self concept in the area of relationships. And I realized, Courtney, because I used to not. I used to be
I was
very
going to say,
anxiously.
for anybody who doesn't know Courtney's story, she completely transformed her relationship through self-concept work.
Yes, and I was that person who I was anxiously attached and I was chasing him and I was desperate and um I thought that if I could just be back with that person, I would feel safe and everything would be good and all my problems would be solved. Well, I realized I had a shit self concept, first of all, and I had a really dysregulated nervous system and I had an anxious attached dynamic with myself in regards to relationships. And I was able to undo all of that. And now I don't even think about that anymore. I mean, I don't think about being abandoned. I don't think about not being chosen. Like those things are just not even in my belief system or awareness anymore. And I'm very safe and secure in that area of life. And so what finally clicked for me with the whole money thing too was like, well, if I can heal all of this and I can have a secure relationship with a man, then I can have it with money too. And I can have the idea.
100%. Money's a neutral, like relationships, I think, so much harder because you're kind of thinking of like another person, and then you go
Yep.
into that like, oh, and it just gets complicated. But with money, it's a neutral source.
Yep.
No, it doesn't hate you.
Oh, it wants to be with you.
It
And so
wants to be
like
with you.
that was the switch that flipped in my brain just recently where wait a minute, like money's always there, it's always going to be around, it's not
Yeah.
even possible for it to run out because it's always there. So like
It's
same as how
digital now. It's in the air. It's floating around. It's not even just in the
exactly.
bank anymore.
Exactly. So I really think like this whole cycle came up for me like once and for all to like finally release that for good and release that cycle and that program and to really truly step into a different identity and have it like a healthy attached secure attached relationship with money like once and for all. And I know like without a doubt because I'm in that knowing adamant state now where I just have no doubt that I'm never gonna be that person again. I'm never gonna
Yeah.
repeat that pattern again. And I just know, like I just have this inner knowing that and I'm not worried about money. And I know that I'm never gonna worry about it again. And I'm never gonna be fearful that it's not gonna come back and all that stuff. So I mean, ultimately it helped me coming back around, even though it was scary. But it really served me in being able to release that program and that pattern and that old identity like once and for all, like
Yeah.
never gonna repeat that ever again.
Yeah, I love that. And I loved what you said about you couldn't pay me to be triggered in my relationship. That like that's such a bad bitch thing to say. I know so many people listening to that are like, how do you even feel that way? And I know it's because you've done so much work on like the feeling chosen aspect, which is your new masterclass as well. So I'd love for you to like, it doesn't have to go into the relationship side of things, but how did you create that inner security? Because we have to create that first before we can even become securely attached to the other person. Like it has to become that secureness within us first. I think we both believe that.
Yeah, exactly. That's spot on. And honestly, once again, it was my experience, funnily enough, to really hit rock bottom and to have that other person. I mean, he doesn't care if I talk about him. He knows what I do, and I talk about him all the time. But
There's no choice.
right, but, so I was chasing him and he was, like, running the other way and didn't really wanna be with me, and, it's that pushback energy of when you are desperate and chasing something, it's running away from you,
100%.
and because I to me, like what that stems from is not feeling whole and complete within yourself. And so you feel like you need to fill that void with that person or that money or whatever because you think that's what's going to complete you. But I realized, wait a minute, I need to take my focus off this person, and I just had the same realization with money too. I need to and stop focusing so much on the money. Focus on yourself. You're enough. You're whole and complete. That's who you are. It's who you've always been. And so in regards to, that situation though with relationships at that time, that was really healing for me to just train my mind to be more inwardly focused and to put all my focus on me and to realize that the world is a mirror. And so if I'm not abandoning myself, then I can't be abandoned. If I am choosing myself, then I'm always chosen, but also really realizing that I am chosen, otherwise I wouldn't be here. That is who I am at my core. Like I've always been chosen, I've always been loved, because I think I grew up as this person thinking that I was defective or that there was something wrong with me. And I was always external validation seeking and always really externally focused, whether it be on a person or something outside of myself. And that journey really taught me how to focus on me and really pour into myself and start loving myself for the first time ever and putting myself on a pedestal. So I started small though. It was like, you know, when I would catch myself thinking more about him, I would bring my thoughts back to me. And even if it takes you just going like me, that's you thinking about you and taking the focus off them, right? And so, kind of in conjunction with training my mind to be more self-focused, also healing my nervous system in that area of life,
Yeah,
like really
definitely.
regulating. And I'll never forget, this is so funny because I know you love EFT tapping and I do too. I was at the car dealership one day, and during that time when I was working on my self concept originally, and I had all these fears come up sitting there waiting for my oil to be changed in my car. And I'm in the lobby and there's other people around and I did not give a shit. I was like, whatever, I need to regulate. And because I had all these fears come up around like, maybe he wants to be with someone else, or maybe there's someone else better than me, or maybe what is he doing? Where's he at? And let me check his stuff. And I'm like,
Him,
nope,
him, 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 him. Yeah.
exactly. And then I was like, nope. And I literally sat in the like car dealership and I'm like, nope, that's not true. That's not my truth. Like, and like calm myself down. And I'm like, no, that is not the truth. I am chosen. I am loved. I am wanted, and brought it back to me and regulated. So like really that a long-winded way to say I learned how to regulate my nervous system. I learned how to focus on myself. I learned how to love me and pour into me. And I asked myself, like, what am I trying to get from this person? And let me give it to myself. Let me start giving it to
That's
myself.
such a good way to say it. That is
Yeah.
such a good way to say it. I think as well, like we are big advocates for EFT tapping, especially like all forms of system regulation, but we both kind of gravitate towards that. We love somatic dancing as well. I say we like we're a couple. We love this. Uh, we talk about it a lot. There are some coaches online that are telling you not to do it or that you don't have to do it. And I just think, good for you. Like I'm glad you don't have to do it. I know for me, it has drastically changed who I am as a person. Fuck the manifestations, like
Yep.
the car, the money. Like they're all really nice things, and I'm glad I've got them. But my inner peace and like being able to, like you say, like when you go off on that spiral and you go off on that tangent. I used to go right over off the bridge with that stuff, and I'd be in a spiral for days, and just
Yep.
on my own, my poor little Lydia, my 20-year-old self, like her head was spinning all the time. And if I'd have known how to do this back then, I'm pretty sure my 20s would have been completely different.
Same. I was so dysregulated forever for so long, and I didn't even realize that I was because I didn't have the knowledge to know what was happening to me. I just would never felt safe, couldn't sit down, couldn't like sit in stillness at all. Like I had no idea. I was constantly on the go. I was constantly like feeling fearful or worrying about something or focusing on something outside of myself. But you're right. And I mean, I've made videos on this before because I roll. Like people will say stuff like that to me, and I'm like, yeah, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do anything,
No,
but it makes it a hell of a lot easier and it makes you
it
feel
does.
better.
It
And
does.
so, like, why would you not? And, I mean, just like anything else, you don't have to do anything. Do whatever you want to do. But it really did change my life too. And it made me be able to have such inner peace, like you said, too, more than I ever have in my life, where I can just
Yeah.
be like, you know, I am fulfilled. I am whole and complete. I don't need this thing to complete me because I'm already whole and complete, but I get to have an experience with this person and I get to have an experience with this money or this travel or this whatever, this cup of coffee. I don't care. But it's not that it's completing me, but that was the biggest thing that self concept and nervous system regulation did for me as a whole, was to really elevate the way I see myself and to really be able to just lean back, knowing that I'm good enough and I'm whole and complete. But at the same time, I deserve this experience with
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah. 100%. What did you do to discover it? Because I had known about self-concept for a few years before I really knuckled down with it. And I set myself like a little challenge. Like I speak about it on all my content. It's like my tagline now, 2 week self-concept challenge. But I had that fuck this moment where I'm like, I need to just apply it because I was scrolling, I was doing all the TikToking, and all these teachers kept talking about self-concept and they kept talking about nervous system regulation and they kept talking about tying them both together. And I feel like for me, that's when it really, like, that's when it really clicked.
Yep. It's so funny because it's similar what happened to me. I'll never forget I was on a cruise with a couple of my girlfriends and I was still kind of in that victim-y space, even though it's funny how things come to you like when you're ready to hear them or when they're going to help you apply something. Because I was on that cruise with my girlfriends and I knew about manifestation for a long time. But I didn't understand that my narratives and what I was telling myself and how I
Yeah.
saw myself and all that stuff and my nervous system and the state I was in was what I was getting. And so I was still being like, woe is me, little victim girl. Like, why does he want to be with me? On that cruise. And then like whenever we got home from that and I was by myself again, I was like getting on Instagram and TikTok and all this stuff started coming to me about like self concept and the law of assumption and nervous system and like all these concepts where like everything's whatever you say it is and you need to change the way you see yourself and what you believe to be true about yourself and the stories you're telling about yourself and limiting beliefs and being regulated and all that stuff. And just like you, all this stuff just flooded into me like and I was consuming all this stuff and then I realized, wait, okay, if I understand it and it's clicking for me, then I need to stop listening to all this noise and I need to like stop consuming all this stuff and start actually applying and
Yeah.
implementing it. So it's funny that you say that your 2 week challenge because same for me. This is what I created my wish fulfilled workshop around was my process that I used at that time to change my self concept and to learn how to regulate my nervous system. So like I had a system and you and I are so similar where we
So
really
similar.
like yeah, we really like the structure and the system and like this is what I'm doing every day to apply it. And so I kind of wrote myself this little plan of, I'm going to do visualization first thing in the morning when I wake up and when I fall asleep at night. I'm going to tape my affirmation script by the mirror and I'm going to say it to myself every day in the mirror in the morning when I first wake up and before I go to sleep at night. And then I'm throughout the day, I'm going to redirect my mind back to that script or those affirmations and I'm going to really focus on me and then throughout the day I'm going to regulate my nervous system. And that was like my little system that I used and I just at that time I decided I'm going to do it for 30 days and just see how I feel.
Oh, we are
And
so
girl,
similar.
oh
That's
my god,
crazy. We
it
both
didn't
set
even
time limit on it as well.
yeah, and it didn't even take that long. I started feeling like a different person within a week just because I finally stuck to the consistency of it and I wasn't just letting my mind or my nervous system run rampant anymore.
Yeah.
And I filtered out the noise. I was like, I know I'm going all in. I'm going to laser focus. I'm going to tune the world out. I'm going to go in my own little bubble.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I realized too is like if you find yourself resonating with people and they're helping you, that's one thing. That's cool. But if you start questioning yourself, like, am I doing it wrong? What should I be doing? What do I even do? It's like go within and really just trust yourself and listen to yourself because I didn't know anything about this stuff hardly at that time, but something just compelled me to, all right, I'm tuning it all out now. I'm going to implement in the way that feels good to me, what makes sense to me. And
Same.
it worked.
It's like even with the sleep affirmations, that nothing I have ever done is kind of it's never really been because someone on the internet has told me. Like I started listening to Dylan James sleep affirmations and
Yep.
I found that I really liked them. And then it was just one day I was like, well, why don't I make my own? Why don't I make my own?
Yep.
And then that's how that came about. It was like this intuitive, like, and it was crazy the shit that manifested within that 3 month period from those sleep affirmations. But then when my clients come to me, they're like, I don't like sleep affirmations. I'm like, okay, well, script every day then. Like let's check, like do what intuitively feels good for you. But it's like a diet and exercise program. If you don't do it every fucking day, then you're not going to get the results. And for me, like doing it every day isn't about becoming, it actually allows you to become less obsessive with the manifestation. Because if I know I've done my nervous system regulation in the morning and I've done whatever affirmation routine, then I can go about my day. And I
Yeah.
know I've programmed some stuff in. Whereas when you are just doing techniques here and there, you're actually leaving more space for you to become obsessive because you're going to keep looking out for where it is instead of knowing you've done the programming that day. That's how I personally feel.
I agree. Exactly. And that's another thing too, is people will do a technique for like a day or two and then they'll flip flop because they'll
Yeah.
question themselves like, is this working, or should I even be doing this? And I saw this other technique where they're constantly consuming and they're constantly asking. Whereas like it doesn't matter what technique you do, like you said, do the one that resonates for you and stick to it for a consistent length of time and you will see changes no matter what it is. If it resonates for you, then keep it up and keep doing it, and tune everything else out and just trust yourself. Because my mentality at that time was, if I know how the law works and I know how my mind works and I know how my nervous system works and I've got all the information and I've structured it in a way that works for me, then there is no way this is not going to make some changes. And I
Yes, that's
dug
how I
my
think.
and I dug my heels in, and I was like, I'll never forget, I said to myself, like, I have all the time in the world, because I know that if I just keep doing this until it becomes normal and natural and autopilot, then that's all I need to do and that's all I need to know. So I'm
That's
just like, I'm
such a good
sticking with this.
That's such a good sentence. Because I think time frame that I was even speaking to you this week about a time frame cutting me up, and I'm like, oh, the time frame Courtney, and you're like, girl, it's yours. Like, chill out. Like even like we go through these things as well. Like even though we're a few years into it now, but I just think it's so refreshing to hear you mimic back everything to me that I feel, because I remember like years ago, and this was 2018, so this was before I got into self-concept work, but I still did a lot of belief work, like which is the same thing, but it was more I used to work on beliefs around the thing rather than like myself. But I remember thinking, why would the universe stop here?
Yep.
I always say to myself, like, why would the universe stop at like the business I've created? Why would it stop at like the car I manifested? Why would it stop at the body of? Why would it stop there? Why would it say, well, whoa, Lydia, that's your limit? Like it doesn't. Like that's me saying that. And I'm the same. Like I know law of assumption works. I've seen it work thousands of times in my own life. Even when I was manifesting, not from a place of self-concept, I used to manifest in wild things, like manifesting somebody giving me their car, all those kind of things, and like wild things. And because I have so much faith in manifestation, I'm like, I know if I do this every day, I know it's going to work. I don't know
Yep.
when and I don't know how, but I have so much faith in the system and law of assumption that I just know it has to happen despite my doubts, despite whatever like you're gonna feel batshit crazy. We all feel batshit crazy. Even us pro manifestors, like you still have those moments of like, fuck, like is it working?
Exactly.
But
And
we know the system works.
I love what you said too about, not really worrying about your manifestation anymore. I mean, that happened to me. It's happened to me so many times where I was really worried about it. And then there came a time where I decided, no, I'm going all in on this. It doesn't matter. I'm going to keep being consistent, that I have this, I've got this, it's happening. This is my identity now. And I love that you differentiated, focusing on the thing versus focusing on yourself and your identity with the thing, because I think that's an important distinction, because everything is an identity thing. So, like, that's so important. But I mean, I did feel delulu at first when it came to my specific person and the things I was affirming, because reality was showing me nothing. But I clung to the concept that if the law is always working and it has to push out whatever my mind is going to push out, whatever I'm telling it, then I'm going to say it until I believe it. I'm going to say it until it's real, and I'm going to say it until it happens. And I just kept that up. And you know what? It did. And it didn't take long for my mind to really start getting on board with it. because I was so consistent at that time. And it to the point that I'm like, nobody could tell me this is not happening. And I felt so fulfilled and like satiated in the desire within that I'm like, I don't even, this is crazy because I never thought I would get to this point because I was so desperate at the very beginning just to have it. And then I started really elevating my self concept. And I'm like, oh my God, I am good. I am good. And I don't even care if it happens in 3D. And I'm like, never forget being like, whoa, but I really meant it. But it's because I had given it to myself so much internally, and I really like just cemented that identity in my mind and in my nervous system that it was like, even though I know this has to happen, it's gonna happen, nothing can stop it, and I'm adamant about it, and I just know also, I'm good because I'm whole and complete on my own. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but I feel like once you get to that place, it's in the bag. It's happening. There's nothing that could stop it. And I really think there is something to the whole thing of like, you know, knowing that you're good enough, knowing that you're whole and complete, knowing that you are the important one. You are the prize. You are the special one. If anything, that thing is manifesting you. It wants you more because you are the end all be all. You are the prize. You're the everything. And so, like, you sit on top of your little, like, pedestal and you be like, no, I have this. This is my experience, but I don't have to chase it
Right.
because that would be implying that I'm void of something, but you're not. You're complete as is and you're good enough. But you can just select, I'm having, this experience with this person and I get to have this amount of money and I get to do what I want to do and whatever. And I think that's an important distinction from like, are you manifesting from lack or are you manifesting from being whole and just selecting an experience?
Definitely, because I would use to manifest the things in. I've manifested specific scenarios just from visualizing it so much that it happened, like I said, batshit crazy things. But then they'd go again because I didn't have that. If I manifested a specific scene with somebody, I hadn't like solidified being chosen, worthy, wanted. They would just fucking go again, and then that was even more painful because then I've experienced the loss after the win, and then I'm having to redo it all, and it was so exhausting. Like manifesting that way was so exhausting for me. And even like with money, that was how I used to manifest. So every single month it'd be like, let me focus on this figure, let me focus on this figure. Instead of focusing on my business is a gold mine and I deserve all the wealth I did. Like when I focused on those two things, everything just clicked into, I don't even think about it anymore. I
Exactly.
make sure
Because
it's covered and I check it every month and all those things. But, and I'm not saying like, that sounded a bit obnoxious to that I don't even think about it. But when I say that, I mean I expect it and I trust it so much. I don't have to think. And I always say to my clients, I said this on a membership call yesterday. When you have the thing, you don't think about it that much.
bingo.
Mercedes, when I was manifesting that, oh my God, I'd see a Mercedes. Oh my God, I want that car. I would think about it all the time. Unless I'm in it, I don't think about it because I have it and it's mine. And I
Yep.
think that's what people like miss with like the obsessiveness of thinking about, like, I'm not saying don't think about it at the time. You're not going to push it away if you do that, but you just wouldn't be thinking about it that much if you had it. Like you just wouldn't.
I can attest to that too, because, a lot of people come to me about love and relationship things. And that was my experience. I thought about him all the time. I was so focused on him until I started pulling my energy back and really focusing on my own self concept and my identity that I am a prize. I am like the 10 out of 10. I am the only choice. Like, not only would he want me, everyone would want me. And that became my identity, right? Like, I love myself. I choose myself. So if I choose myself and the world is a mirror, everyone is going to want to choose me. And so that's so true. And I love that you put it that way because with your business and with the money, it's just become your identity. So you
Yeah.
don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think about it. And that's something I've been conceptualizing a lot recently myself is, you know, I don't think about my husband all day, every day, because I know he's there and I know he's coming home to me. I love spending time with him. We have a great relationship, but I'm focused on myself all day, every day. And so I realized that like clicked in my brain recently with money too. Like, I don't got to check in on money. I don't got to think about it all day, every day. If I'm thinking about it and focused on it too much, then that's taking away from me. I need to focus more on me and being the identity of the wealthy woman. And so, like, if that is my identity, I probably wouldn't think about it very much at all. And exactly what you just
Yeah,
said. And
you don't think about it. And I'm not saying don't do the, because I know like robotic affirming is like a buzzword in the community at the minute. And we've spoken a lot of the times how the community can be quite cult-like with it. And
yep,
it's very rigid, especially, sorry guys, the Neville Goddard community, very rigid. Just persist, just affirm. Neville Goddard actually used to talk against affirming. He used to say, like, if you are forcing it, I can't remember that. I'm gonna have to get the quote up because everyone's gonna come for me in the comments. But he did say, like, the forcingness of it isn't always helpful. It's the
yeah,
feeling of it. And if the affirmations brings you the feeling of it, then amazing, keep doing it. But I think there is like such a rigidness, whereas I know with my routine that's going to put me in the state, and then I'm going to go about my, and the last part of my life equation is get a fucking life, babe, and it's just the name of the podcast, and that's just about having fun. And I think having fun is the fastest way to detach. And by having fun, I don't mean being out with the girls in cowboy boots and dancing on the tables. I mean like enjoying the present moment and going out with your grandma, or like you with the kids and just enjoying your time with them. Like having fun and detaching doesn't have to be this big confetti cannon moment. um but I think what's really great about us two, where we align, is that we don't have that rigidness. We are very wholesome in that approach of making it work for the clients and the followers, and like come into that wholeness in yourself, rather than just forcing the outcome. We really bring people back to the wholeness of themselves.
yeah, I agree. And I also agree about the rigidity of the law of assumption, Neville Goddard community. And I think a lot of the things Neville Goddard said have been interpreted. I mean, of course, because everything gets interpreted differently because everyone has their own take on things. And that's, I mean, it's the flip side of that is, that's a beautiful thing because if this is what it means to you, there are going to be people that resonate with that, and that's your interpretation.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful that we have so many different teachers of these concepts
Because
because the way,
neither of us are bashing that community. I'm so
no,
grateful for that community. I hashtag Neville Goddard on all my posts now. He is my OG of manifestation. Like he changed my fucking life.
me
But
too.
I think with like the rigidity of it, like it just trips people. It trips themselves up rather than helping them, because then they're gonna, like, they get stuck in their own loops almost.
I agree. And I do think it can be cult like because there are all these buzzwords online. And same, I love Neville Goddard. He also changed my life, but I interpret the things he says in my way, and other people interpret. But that's the thing, though. There is no rigidity. It's fluid because it's the law of assumption, meaning
Yeah.
whatever your assumptions are and what works for you. So the people that resonate with us are going to resonate with us. And if you don't and you interpret it a different way, then it's the freedom of choice. It's the
Yeah.
freedom to come up with your own assumption. And I did that so much, when I first started working on my self concept, like I started realizing that was my power, and I could cherry pick my reality and my
Yeah.
stories and narratives to whatever I wanted them to be. And I've had people come on my content and be like, well, if you believe in astrology or you like astrology, or if you say this and that, then this isn't law of assumption, or you don't believe in law of assumption. I'm like, well, no, actually it is spot
You're
on law of
assuming it.
assumption. Right, because it's my assumption. It doesn't have to be yours. And so I think
Yeah.
the reason why it falls into that cult like thing and the rigidity is everyone people tend to want your assumptions to match theirs, but
Yeah.
that's the freedom of the law of assumption, is that I get to dictate what my assumptions are, and I get to choose, and so do you, and so does everyone else. And so, I'm not going to tell you that your assumptions and stories about what's true for you is wrong. That's just what's true for you. And what's true for me is what's true for me. And so, yeah, that's really all it is. And so I think like we need to like loosen the grip on, allowing people the freedom to choose what their assumptions are, no matter what they are. And no matter if they align with you or they don't, that's okay.
Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree. I love that. I think I've took up so much of your time now. It's nearly like an hour and a half we've been sat here. And I know you've got
We
a
could
bit
talk forever.
I know we could talk to like I'm not even halfway through what I want to talk about. But I am going
Same.
to wrap it up because I know we're going to do more of these. And I know that you're going away tomorrow, and I don't want to take up all of your day when you've got things to do. But I would love for you to tell everybody about your chosen workshop that you've got coming out because I know for me, I started a firm in I Am Wanted in May, I think it was. And it was because I saw a coach say, work on your weakest spot. And I was like, that's so true. And for me, this isn't just about relationships. It happens in business. It's like, oh, why am I not got as many followers as that creator? Like, why doesn't anyone want me? Or it happened in friendships, or it happened. And this was all my perception. It wasn't. It was bullshit. Like it was never real. But my default bitch line that my brain says is, "You're not wanted. You're not chosen." So I fucking love the fact you're doing a chosen workshop. And when I started filming I Am Wanted, oh my God, like the business opportunities, like I had like a brand that I wanted to work with last year. They reached out like what, like crazy. So it's just amazing. So I cannot wait for the world to hear about your chosen workshop.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited about it. And I do a couple of these classes. It's a live group class. Um, a couple times a year. The last time I did one was in January and it was more, like love and relationship focused. But this time I really, really wanted to do a self concept focused one and a self focused one and identity. And I can't wait. And it's going to be so much fun because I'm doing it in a way that is unlike anything I've done before because I'm structuring it around the I am and really, you know, empowering people to remember who they are so that they can step into the identity and the embodiment of being chosen. Because, first of all, that's who we all really are. We are the most chosen, or we wouldn't be here, right?
Yeah.
Um, we are part of source, we are everything. And so I realized when I started thinking about teaching this class, like how do I want to present this? And I just had this like a light bulb moment around, we're not becoming chosen to get chosen. It's more about really sitting in the knowing and realizing and the awareness of being chosen with your I am. Like I am chosen, I'm already chosen, I've always been chosen. And it's not to get anything and it's not to get chosen, but it's an identity thing and it's an I am thing. And I'm so excited to really get deep into that with people. And I think it's going to be really powerful and really fun. So that starts next Thursday, September 4th, and we're going for 4 weeks. And it's going to be live group classes and a one-to-one component check-in as well.
That's
And
incredible that you're offering that part.
I'm so excited because we're gonna be doing all kind of stuff. It's gonna be like demonstrations of like nervous system techniques, and I'm gonna give my clients homework. And the last time I did this, I was blown away with how my students in the class I did before really the identity transformation in just 4 weeks and me being able to witness that. Every single one of them was insane. And that was my favorite part. And so I'm so excited to do it again. And yeah, thank you for letting me talk about it because I'm
Oh, of
very looking
course.
forward to it.
No, no, of course. And I'm going to leave the links below for anybody who wants to do the chosen workshop or anybody who wants to follow you. I'm going to send everybody your way because I just love you.
Thank you. I love you too. You're my
Thank
manifesting bestie.
Yes, absolutely you are. You're mine too. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today, and I can't wait for our next one already.
Thank you so much for having me. It's
You're
been a
so
blast.